This is the 14-1 podcast. Here's your section outline here, and it'll be up in the upper right hand corner as always. So, first thing we need to talk about, we're going to talk about is human chromosomes. And you actually can see human chromosomes and analyze them by looking at a photograph of them called a karyotype. And essentially what a scientist does, or a biologist does, is take the photograph of the chromosomes and cuts them up into little pieces, the little pictures of the chromosomes, and pairs them up by the size of the chromosomes so they match. And these are, of course, what we know as the homologous pairs. Now, humans have 46 chromosomes, and 2 of these are called the X and Y chromosomes, and they're the sex chromosomes because they determine what your sex is going to be. And you probably remember this map I showed you of the X chromosome and of the Y chromosome. And here's a little picture of them so you can see the relative size of the two. And females have 2 X chromosomes. Remember, they get one from mom and one from dad. And males have 1 X chromosome and one of these little smaller Y chromosomes right here. And the other 44 chromosomes, which you saw in the karyotype map I just showed you, are called autosomes, or autosomal chromosomes. So how does sex determine then? We're using these X chromosomes and Y chromosomes. An egg cell contains 1 single X chromosome from the mother. Remember, she only has X chromosomes, so the egg is always going to contain a X chromosome. Meanwhile, dad has X and Y chromosomes. So some of the sperm, some of them are going to have X, some of them are going to have Y, and it's about 50-50. And when we talk in terms of these cells, we often write a number, 23 meaning the number of chromosomes, and whether it's an X or Y. So this would be a female egg, this would be a male sperm, and this would be with carrying an X chromosome, and this would be a male sperm carrying a Y chromosome. And then when you fertilize an egg or a zygote, you would then have a possibility of a female which has 2 X chromosomes, or a male who has X and Y chromosome, and it's about 50-50. Now, another tool they use is what's called a pedigree chart, and because human genes act a lot like the way Mendel said they should, pedigree charts become very useful. So this shows the relationships within a family, and then you can tell whether a trait has been inherited in a family by using the pedigree chart. You can also predict whether the trait could be passed down to future offspring. Now, I just want to show this chart real quickly, a couple of things here. This chart is of the royal families of Europe, and if you look right down in this area right here, this is the current royal family in England. There's Queen Elizabeth right there. Here is Prince Charles, will be this guy right here, number 11, and that's Princess Diana. And here is Prince William, who will probably who is going to be married very, very soon. Oh, and very interestingly, this was the last royal Russian family, the final czar, and this part of his family all here were assassinated during the revolutions in Russia. And here's Anastasia, who's there was a woman who claimed to be Anastasia, that she survived the assassination. So let's look at a pedigree chart, and we'll look at the different symbols and the lines and see what they all mean. First thing is a circle is a female, a square represents a male, and if you have a horizontal line between the two, they're married. So these 2 people right here are married. If you have a vertical line, that means there are children. So if you look here, this is a child. These 2 parents have 1 2, 3, 4 children. If a circle is half shaded or a square half shaded, it indicates that the person is a carrier of the trait. That means they don't have the trait, but they're a carrier. And if it's completely shaded circle or square, that means the person has the trait. They express the trait. And lastly, one that's not shaded indicates that the person is neither a carrier of the trait or expresses the trait. So human genetics is sometimes not so easy to figure out, and we talked about this in the last chapter. You can have traits that are polygenic, meaning they have many genes, and this is skin color right here we're looking at, and also which is controlled by many genes. And then also the environment can influence the traits. Once again, skin color can be influenced by how much sunlight you get. You might have a tan or a sunburn. You become darker or lighter as the environment around you changes. So here's we talk about the human genome before, and this is the complete set of all genetic information for humans, and it basically shows where the genes are for all 24 of the chromosomes. I'm including X and Y as the 23rd and 24th chromosome. As you guys know, there are tens of thousands of genes, and in 2003 the entire sequence was published, and I remember that. That was a pretty big scientific event. And one of the other things you have to remember about humans is that we're not exactly the easiest organism to study. We have long lifetimes. Generations take a long time. Roughly 33 years, I think it is. We have really complex life cycles. There's so many things that can happen to us. And we don't have many offspring. Most people only have a couple of children, so